Support for Red Blue Hoops comes from Nicholson, McNamara, Smith & Associates, Merrill Lynch Wealth Advisors, dedicated to helping clients define financial goals and develop customized wealth management strategies. Information at 812-473-7336. From the banks of the Ohio River in Evansville, Indiana, this is Red Blue Hoops with fanatical Red host Chad Payton and obsessive Blue host Evan Beck.
Welcome, everyone, to the third season of the award-winning Red Blue Hoops on your WNIN 88.3. Give us a call at 812-426-7400 or tweet us at Red Blue Hoops. I am Evan Beck, your voice for the Kentucky Wildcats this season, and joining me tonight as the voice for the Indiana Hoosiers is Chad Payton. Chad, welcome to tonight's show.
Evan, good to see you. But you're back in the studio tonight. That's a good thing.
I am back from special assignment. I fulfilled my obligations to Coach Calipari and his staff, doing some underground work in Nashville, and we got a lot of things figured out down there and getting set up for the SEC tournament in a couple weeks.
You taking credit for the victories you guys are going to discuss tonight, or
I can't yet.
Not yet? Okay.
But I tell you what, I want to thank everyone that allowed me to call in remotely and do the show. You guys did a great job. It was seamless on my end. Sam and Berger. We had Jim Gotze filling in for the intern Walker Beck. Walker's back in the house tonight.
He is.
For the second time in 4 weeks, you and I almost missed the beginning of tonight's show because
we just get lost in our conversation. It's
we're
incredible.
In here covering. There's so much going on. We do have some special scenarios tonight, folks.
We do.
I woke up this morning and realized, due to the social media Twitterverse, that today is the 32nd anniversary of the infamous Bob Knight throwing the red chair during the Purdue game.
That's exactly right.
With that being said, we're going to have a special guest later on in the show to talk about that night, someone that was actually there on IU's squad.
Hey, at Red Blue Hoops, we dig deep for our listeners. You know, we figure out ways to connect and get things for them, get live people that were there.
That's right.
Make it happen here.
And once again, folks, for our listeners, this is a result of Chad and I doing some intensive off-season training. But we have a couple of UK games to cover that UK clicked off on the road. They squeaked by at Georgia and pulled out an ugly win in Missouri. We got an Indiana loss to discuss, but our phone lines have already lit up tonight, Chad, so we're going to go to the phones. It's our All-American caller, Shooter. Welcome to tonight's show.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning?
Good morning. It's been a long day for you.
Okay.
Brent McCracken, how you guys doing? Contribution to your
Joby Hall and Branch
McCracken. I appreciate that. I know I've only got a limited amount of time here due to last week. I wanted to give you a quick call. Did you guys know that Tom Crean and Bob Knight have a relationship? Evan, did you know that?
Well, this is this is news to me because I was told they do not have a relationship.
I was too. I need to hear this, Shooter.
You guys thought that. After watching the past couple Indiana games, I started doing my research as well, like you guys, and digging into the archives. And what I found out is in 84, 85, or 86, I can't remember, I was like 7, 8, or 9 years old, that Bob Knight had asked the Purdue athletic director to come on to the Bob Knight show. And he had declined, but what Bob Knight had is he actually had a young Tom Crean on the show there with Chuck Mallory.
No way.
Seriously?
Yes,
really?
Yes, they did. If you look at the Bob Knight show, I think it was 1986. I'm not 100% sure. You'll have to have your stat guy check that. He'd actually had Tom Crean on the show, and they'd called him Jack. I can't think of his name.
Well, I could take that a lot.
It could go a lot of directions, yeah.
Are you saying on his TV show?
Yes, it was on the Bob Knight TV show in 1986.
Do you remember that show? It had the really bad wood paneling right behind his chairs. Remember watching it? It had a terrible set.
I do. The Bob Knight show you're talking about.
I guess
that was it.
Show. Wow.
I do, but Evan, if I was you, I'd be terrified because what I'm reading on SI.com and some other sites is that Tom Crean is to LSU next year. He's going to step down as Indiana's basketball coach.
I saw that.
Team twice a year.
So he's heading further south from Marquette. He migrated south to Bloomington. You're going to say he's going to migrate further south to the Baton Rouge, Louisiana Tigers?
He's going to end up fishing in the ocean here in a little bit.
I think Tom Crean's going to stick around Bloomington for another year. That's my opinion.
Well, Evan, if that happens, we're all going to jump off a bridge.
What else do you have for us tonight, Shooter?
Well, I was thinking about the loss the other night. You know, they played hard enough to be in the game for like the 7th game out of 9, and you know they've looked, on a serious note, the kids have tried really hard. They've looked really good, except for the 2 Michigan games. I'm thinking, if I'm Tom Crean right now and I really want to be in Bloomington and I want my kid to play baseball at Indiana, I'm thinking to myself, I rest everybody till Indiana gets in the Big Ten tournament, and then we just go all out there. Because it looks like right now they're going to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if they're lucky, if they can get past the first round.
Yeah.
But he needs to start preparing right now for Purdue, Maryland, or Wisconsin in the second round after that first game. But I don't think he's smart enough to see that far ahead. If anybody
You think?
His press conference, real quick, guys, if anybody watched his press conference after the last game, he looked like he was sweating a little bit. I think he knows the writing's on the wall. And I truly believe Crean is gone after this year.
I do too. His body motions and how he's handling himself are not into it. I agree with that, Shooter.
And before I get off here, for the love of God, why can Blackman not block anybody out? Like, how many times the same game over and over again? And then we had 22, 23 turnovers and a high-powered, supposedly, offense. You cannot turn the ball over 23 times. Evan can complain about Kentucky not getting the job done or anything, but they don't turn the ball over 23 times. These are 18-year-old kids. You know what I mean? Indiana has 2 junior guards that they turn the ball over. Really, I mean, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling to me. That's all I have tonight, guys. Just do your research. 1986. Tom Crean was on the Bob Knight Show.
That's a great nugget, Shooter. We owe you on that one, or I do.
You guys are welcome. You guys are welcome.
Hey, have a great night, Shooter. We appreciate your support for Red Blue Hoops. We're going back to the hotline. Another weekly caller. We have Kim.
Oh.
Kim, go ahead. Welcome to tonight's show.
How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you doing, Mom?
Yeah, good. Have you ever heard that saying, Evan, are you in real estate?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, well, I don't know if you've ever heard that saying about that if you want to sell your house and you're having trouble selling it, you bury the statue of St. Joseph in your yard.
I heard that. I've done that, actually.
I've never heard this one. No.
No, this is true, though, and it's supposed to bring you good luck to sell your house.
I have heard that. I did it. Yep.
Okay, well, anyway, I'm just wondering if I dig a big hole and bury that rock they got me, if we could get a darn win.
Hey,
Well,
get the shovel out now. Do it.
A few weeks ago, Kim, I suggested taking a hammer to it, collecting the pebbles, and throwing the pebbles in the Ohio River.
I know it, but I mean, I'm not talking about going to the Final Four. I'm just wanting to win.
We just need to win a game.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. That's hilarious.
Well, okay. You guys have a great weekend.
Thanks for calling in, Mom.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Thank you, Kim. Once again, you never know what you're going to learn listening to Red Blue Hoops here on Thursday nights and the live stream and on WNIN. Again, you can call us at 812-426-7400 or tweet
at Red Blue Hoops.
So since last week, Chad, you guys had one game, and Shooter already touched on it. You guys lost to Iowa. I watched the game.
Yes.
But it was at the same time as Kentucky was playing at Missouri. So I had Kentucky-Missouri on the TV, and then I had your game on the iPhone. And you guys developed a huge lead.
Of course we did.
Twice, first half and second half, and figured out a way to lose again.
Yeah, the game started 17-4. I texted Wayne, the guy calls in here a lot.
Yeah, Wayne.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, we might blow them out. I mean, I'm watching the way the game's flowing. I'm like, Iowa's not very good.
You guys had good ball movement there.
We did. Yep. McCaffrey benches his starters.
Yep.
That guy's crazy, by the way.
He's interesting.
He's nuts. But in typical Indiana form, up 17-4, had enough stops to be up 20, really, the way that went. And they just didn't get it done. It was a 1-point game at halftime. And actually, like you were saying, they spread it out to 8 or 10 with like 4 minutes to go, and was able to give that up. There's just no leader. Crean doesn't know what to do. There's no mental toughness at all. You got goofy Thomas Bryant.
Now he's goofy. Huh?
Now he's I'm going to call him goofy.
He was an ironing board earlier.
He was a goofy ironing board.
Goofy ironing board. That's a new description on Red Blue Hoops.
He's on the road. We're 15-12. He misses a bunny but gets fouled, and he flexes his muscles on the road, which he doesn't have very big muscles anyway.
He's a flexer.
He is.
He loves flexing.
somebody should just say, hey, sit down.
Yeah.
Hey, or go rebound or something.
Yep.
But obviously, sent the game into overtime. And as Shooter pointed out, again, there's a couple of plays where Indiana does not block out at all. You see every player actually turn and look like grade school basketball. Nobody's touching anybody.
Wow.
An Iowa guy runs from the 45 3-point line, dunk, and gets fouled.
Gets fouled. Jeez.
That was a key play. And just no confidence. 96-90, lost again on the road. That is 5 straight. That is 7 of 8. And basically 5-10 in the Big Ten with 2 wins against Penn State on the road, buzzer beater. Remember that game?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
the Blackman shot.
The Blackman shot. And then a triple overtime win at home. Otherwise, they're 4-11 or 3-12. It's going back to Crean's first couple years when he didn't even have a team, basically.
But, okay, as a counterpoint, though, you have lost some very close games as well. So
who you blame that on?
Yeah, I know.
Crean keeps saying that. He says, man, we just can't get over the hump. We're losing a lot of close games. Well, that is a self-incrimination.
Yeah, it is.
In my mind, it is.
Especially when we touched on a little bit with Shooter. You guys have 3 junior guards, 2 of which have redshirted, which gives them more experience.
Yes.
That's the mind-boggling part, because the guards are you're the oil to the engine, per se. That's where you have so much experience. And you would think that in late-game situations, which you guys have been in many, that those 3 junior guards could pull you guys over the hump and get these wins, but they're the ones that are causing most of the trouble.
Yeah, Anunoby it is confusing. Anunoby got hurt. People are like, oh, there's not as much talent there. Timeout. IU starts 2 McDonald's All-Americans, James Blackman and Thomas Bryant.
Yep.
Deron Davis has been starting. He's a 4-star player. Robert Johnson was a 4-star player, almost a 5-star. And you have a transfer from Pitt who's supposed to be a pretty nice player. You give Izzo that team or someone else, they're just not. They're not doing anything right, and they can't beat anybody.
That's tough. That is tough to take for sure.
It is.
Well, okay, I mentioned Kentucky had 2 games since our last show, both on the road. And if I've been a little bit distracted so far during tonight's show, I was on the iPad watching one of our callers, Lance, my brother from Atlanta. His son just finished playing a 3A state tournament game down in Georgia, and there was a nail biter. They won by 3, Walker?
They pulled it out.
They pulled it out.
Nice.
It was tied with 20 seconds to go. They won by 3. So
nice.
Congratulations to Lance Beck Jr. and the Lovett Panthers or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, back to Kentucky. At Georgia this past Saturday, as you listeners may remember, Georgia played us tough in Rupp. We had to beat them in overtime in Rupp Arena and pulled that one out. But this kid, J.J. Frazier for Georgia, lit us up on the pick and roll. We could not stop it. Georgia lost their best post player in the first 2 minutes of the game, so you would think Kentucky would have had more of an advantage, but we could not develop that advantage. They went to J.J. Frazier over and over and over, and it just led to a very tight game late. Kentucky had to make some key plays late. Isaiah Briscoe didn't play a very good game. There's been a lot of chatter about his play. We're going to touch on that a little bit later, because I just got the signal from Berger that our special guest for tonight has called in. And again, folks, this is in reference to we are celebrating the 32-year anniversary of Bob Knight throwing the infamous red chair across the floor as they were playing Purdue in Assembly Hall, which is now called Simon Hall.
That's right.
So to help us get a little bit more of an insight of what happened during that game and the infamous throwing of the chair, we have the Evansville Aces head coach, Marty Simmons, on the line tonight. Marty, welcome to tonight's show.
Thanks for having me on.
Coach Simmons, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
So at Red Blue Hoops, or thanks for coming on the show, but at Red Blue Hoops, we try to dig in deep to these topics, and it came up this morning that it's the 32nd anniversary of Coach Knight throwing the chair against Purdue in 1985, and Evan and I were talking, hey, Coach Simmons was there, so we had to get some perspective from you, and I appreciate you calling in, so I was hoping to hear the story a little bit, and you can break it down for us.
Well, it obviously was a game against Purdue, one of our rivals.
Yeah.
And there was a loose ball out right around the midcourt area, and I remember diving on it first.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, sir.
We can. Yep.
Yep. And then when I dove on the ball, one of the Purdue players dove on top of me, and I think Steve Alford
Okay.
dove on him. And at that time, they called a foul on me. And I was on the bottom of the stack. And, the game wasn't going very good to begin with. And obviously, Coach Knight got upset. And the next thing I knew, I saw the chair flying across the court.
So I'd always heard that there was somebody on the other side, like an 85-year-old woman that had lost her seat in Assembly Hall, and he was actually just pitching it over to her to give her a seat. He was trying to be nice. Is that not true?
I'm not sure about that. and that's what people, I don't think, that rivalry at one time, the IU-Purdue rivalry was one of the best.
Right.
And, you had Coach Knight, going against Coach Katie.
Yep.
And it was an interstate rivalry. I mean, it was huge, and they were putting it on us pretty good. And I guess Coach didn't feel like they made the proper call there, and I think we were all shocked, when it happened.
Oh, I bet
to see it, but Purdue had a really good team that year.
Did they go to the Final Four that year? They had a Final Four team in the early 80s,
That was
didn't they?
1980.
Okay, that was 80.
Joe
Okay.
Barry Carroll.
Oh, gotcha. Nice.
Yep.
Well, that's interesting, Coach. I appreciate you putting that in perspective. It's just a funny story to see. You kind of forget about it, and then it was posted all over Twitter this morning, and I'm like, wow, we need to get some perspective on that. Really haven't seen a coach do anything like it in a while. So.
No, we've seen some coaches throw jackets. We saw Guy Lewis from Houston threw a towel at a player during the game.
He did.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach Patino was going to go fight somebody last night.
Yeah, he was almost in the
think.
stands at Carolina last night.
Did you see that, Coach? Did you see that?
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
Somebody mouthed at him, and he kind of took offense to it, and it was the way it looked. It was like, well,
he lost his cool big time.
He did. So, Coach, can you tell us? I know you guys play on Saturday at Indiana or at home against Indiana State. Kind of your game plan for that, and Arch Madness is coming up too, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's we've had some struggles this year, and we've had to battle through a little bit of adversity.
Right.
But Indiana State's a good rival for us. They got a great player in Scott. He can really score the ball.
Yeah.
They just beat Northern Iowa last night. It's senior day for us, so it's a really neat day, emotional day.
Yep.
Where I know the seniors, all the memories, all the relationships with fans, coaches, managers, teachers, everybody in the city. Everything's going through your mind at one time.
Absolutely.
I can remember my last game, at Robert Stadium. I mean, it's a neat experience, and we're just, we need to sacrifice everything for the seniors. When the game's over, they'll have an opportunity, to speak to the crowd, which is always really neat.
Yeah, that's it.
It'll be a big day for us.
Yeah, you guys always do that senior night ride. I've been to many of those. Can you remind our callers, too, what seniors do you guys have this year, Marty?
We got 5. Willie Wiley.
Okay.
Who was a fifth-year senior. He transferred here from Penn State. Was playing really well early in the year. He pulled a groin, was out for a month. He's come back, and he's never really regained the confidence and just he was out for a month, didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So he's a senior. Sergei Vucetic is a 7-foot kid transferred from Nebraska.
Yep.
He's from Serbia. He's a young man that's really, really battled some adversity here recently. Tragic. His father was killed in an accident about a month ago, and he was back home for 2 or 3 weeks. But he has rejoined the team. 7-footer, terrific young man.
Yep.
Christian Benzon is from Denmark. He battled injuries really his entire career, but this year he's kind of stayed away from it. He's had a really, really good year. He's kind of a utility guy for us.
Yeah.
He can play any of the 4 positions. David Howard is a 5th-year senior, he played behind Agidius for 3 years.
Yeah.
And here late in the year, he's really played outstanding. He's had some big games, had a career game against Drake. Smart kid, going to leave with a couple majors, but he's had a terrific season for us. And this guy's Jaylen Brown.
JB.
Who, as a staff, we were talking, Agidius, you look where Agidius was when he started, where he finished his senior year. JB probably gave him a run for his money. JB came in, he split time his first 2 years with Boo at the point guard. Then last year, Boo got hurt. JB just blossomed. Had a fantastic year, was a real key for the success. And then this year, he stepped into an even bigger role, and I think he's got a great opportunity to lead the Missouri Valley Conference in scoring, which I think says a lot for Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I remember watching him early. I don't remember him having a great jump shot early, but now, I mean, he's tough out there, hitting the jump shots and handling the ball, and pretty impressive to watch.
Well, thank you. He's put a lot of time in. He's a gym rat, and he's worked really hard at it. He's one of the more explosive guys we've had in our program. He's really, really athletic. I think I saw a stat where he's like third in the country in made free throws. I mean, he's in the attack mode all the time.
That's awesome. That's good. Well, folks, I know you guys play Saturday at noon at the Ford Center. I will be there. My wife and I will be out there to hopefully pull you guys in. And then I guess next week, good luck with Arch Madness. Missouri Valley is always the first conference to tip off postseason, aren't they?
We are. With the TV the way it is, we get on that Fox Sports, I think, for the first two rounds.
Right.
I think CBS Sports covers the semis. And then actually, last year we were in the championship game, and you're on national TV with CBS. And I think that gives our conference a lot of national exposure.
Well, awesome, Marty. Thanks a ton for calling in. We really appreciate it. Good luck. Just go shock the world and pull off Arch Madness, and we'll see you in the NCAA tournament. How about that?
Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate all your support. Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Thanks, Coach Simmons. That's awesome getting that story. He was the first one that dove.
He got it going. He did.
Folks out there, you can go to YouTube and dial that up to watch those highlights. But we're going to go to our first break. We'll be right back after the break. Red, Blue Hoops. Go Big Blue.
Go Hoosiers.
Support for Red Blue Hoops comes from Nicholson, McNamara, Smith & Associates, Merrill Lynch Wealth Advisors, dedicated to helping clients define financial goals and develop customized wealth management strategies. Information at 812-473-7336.
All right, listeners, welcome back to Red Blue Hoops here Thursday night. That is Chad and the Spring Cleaners with that blues music.
Spring Cleaners or Spring Cleaners?
Cleaners, because that's all the Hoosier fans will be doing this spring is cleaning.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry. Going back to the hotline, we now have Brian. Welcome to Red Blue Hoops. Brian, go ahead. Roger that. Deadline. Brian? All right, tell you what, we'll go to our next caller. Geraldine, you on the line?
Yes, I am.
All right.
How are you guys?
We're doing great, Geraldine. Welcome to Red Blue Hoops. Welcome back. We have missed you.
We have.
It's good to be back, and I've missed talking to you all. I have been traveling the country and having all kinds of stuff going on, so it's good to be back and hearing you guys talking about some basketball.
Did you hear about your nephew winning a 3A state tournament game down in Georgia a few minutes ago?
I did not, but I'm so happy to see that. I've seen a few pictures, and he's been balling it up down there. I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, he's shooting 42% from the three-point line as a sophomore, playing six-man for Lovett. So,
nice.
What do you have for us tonight, Geraldine?
First of all, I have to say my nephew did not get that talent from his aunt.
No, you can't even shoot a piece of paper into a trash can.
Not at all. Not at all. I was just calling because I actually got to catch the tail end of the Georgia game the other day, and I was very impressed by the performance of that young man named Fox.
Yes.
Without him, I told my husband, I said, I don't think we would have won this game without that boy. And he is so young, and I was very impressed with the way he kept his head. He was cool. He was a leader on the court, and he was executing right and left. And I was just curious because I know you've watched him all season. I was just curious what you think about him and his talent, and especially how significant he's going to be going forward as we move into the tournament season. And I'll take my answer offline.
That's fantastic. Great call and great question by Geraldine. It's an excellent observation. Actually, I was covering the Georgia game when we took Marty Simmons' call, and I had not completed my show notes for that game.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, my next item was Fox late, was what my note says. And Geraldine's exactly right. That game, down the stretch, De'Aaron Fox, freshman point guard from Texas, took over and played with tremendous poise. He was able to make the right decisions. Sometimes it was his own penetration and passing out to the players. Sometimes it was him, I tell you what, taking the ball all the way to the rim and completing these plays. And I think Geraldine's exactly right. Without his play late, we go home with a loss at Georgia. And again, a true freshman, he's playing about 30 minutes a game, shooting 46% from the field.
Solid.
Now, unfortunately, though, 17% from the three-point line.
Probably
17.
hasn't taken many, though, either, right? Or no? He's got a
He's
decent
taken
sample size
50 some odd threes off the top of my head.
Okay.
Free throw shooting, strong, 72%. He's averaging, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 16 points a game.
In one incredible man bun, too, by the way. It's got to be the hair.
Okay, again, I'm double thumbs down on that man bun. He's flowing. I know some people like it. It's more aerodynamic, but I'm double thumbs down. But that's a fantastic statistical line, especially for a freshman point guard, given the keys to the Rolls-Royce day one. All that pressure. I mean, that's people always forget, man. These kids are 18-year-old freshmen taking over these big-time programs and doing something with it. But back to the Georgia game. I was talking about Briscoe.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and bleed over into the Missouri game this past Tuesday night because his name will come up again. But Missouri Tuesday night, the arena was extremely humid for some odd reason. It was 75 degrees in Columbia that day, and we were having trouble holding on to the basketball in the first half. In fact, the announcers started talking about it. The referee began toweling the ball off during dead ball breaks. But Bam Adebayo is the guy that came to play that night. Check this out. He had 22 points, 15 rebounds, and 3 blocks. This is the first UK player in program history to get those stats in a road game.
No kidding.
And
wow.
we have fans, friends of mine, that say this kid's overrated. Now again, I'm telling you, I've already shot that down with all the data.
You did.
You take a game like that on the road, your team is struggling. He played, in my opinion, those are All-American type numbers.
They are.
Now Missouri is not a good team at all. Their record is horrendous. They're in a rebuilding situation. Actually, they're in a scholarship limited situation due to probation. But interestingly enough, I did not realize this. They had beaten Vanderbilt, which just clipped Tennessee by 20. They did beat Arkansas. Arkansas has won 4 in a row. At home, Missouri has played tough basketball. And they've
to justify 7-20
I know,
team. Go
exactly.
ahead, Evan.
But no, they've had no fan show. The other night, guess what? Sellout. Kentucky rolls in. The place is hyped.
Yep.
And Missouri does one thing. They play hard. We played poorly. We turned the ball over 17 times, only had 10 assists. Our guards didn't play well. Briscoe, 6 turnovers. Fouled out for his second game in a row. And here's what's really concerning me. He had a play against Georgia that he got called for a foul that was on the brink of being a flagrant. He had a play at Missouri. There was a foul called on Missouri, but Briscoe had a little bit of a move that would be considered, in my opinion, a little bit of a dirty play.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned about his behavior deteriorating as we head into March because one bad mistake by him could cost us a game.
Yeah, he might be a little frustrated as a player.
It could be. And now guess what? There's pressure building because after that Missouri game, Tony Delk, former All-American for the 96 National Championship team at Kentucky, was on the SEC Network, and Tony gave a very thorough explanation of why Briscoe should be benched in favor of Michael Mulder. So now all the fans are talking about Briscoe, his declining performances and fouling out 2 games in a row. So now you got all that chatter going on, and you have to think about the kid's confidence being shot a little bit. But the game was just, I don't know, it wasn't a very well played game. It was the same time you guys were playing Iowa.
Yep.
And once again, Kentucky struggled with guarding the pick and roll. So guess what we're going to see the rest of the year? Every team we play is going to run pick and roll until the sun goes down. So we got to figure out how to guard that. And at the very end, a fan from the Missouri end zone stormed the court with time still on the clock.
I didn't see that.
And ran, well, .3 is still time on the clock, but ran all the way right down the middle of the court, tapped a Missouri player on the shoulder. It's just odd. I mean, one of these days, it happened at Louisville earlier this year.
I saw that.
So one of these days, something bad's going to happen.
You're right.
But, hey, you know what I say, road wins in the conference are like gold. And Cal Perry had his 2011 team that went to the Final Four, led by Brendan Knight.
They didn't beat anybody,
we
right?
only won one road game in the conference. So, although we're not playing clean, we're still figuring out a way to win as a young team.
Absolutely.
So, I'm good with that. What's your opinion on Briscoe and his play?
Well,
from your position?
I got to go back to one thing on the Georgia game.
Sure.
Your statistic on, I think I tweeted or texted you this. So, Georgia did get to 71. First. 71-69,
right.
You know.
You're right.
So what is that stat? Can you remind the listeners of that one real quick?
Yeah, this is crazy. It's called the Rule of 71. The team that get to 71 first has won 98% of the games.
That's incredible.
But here lately, the last 3 weeks, I haven't been keeping track of it. I think there's been 3 to 5 games that I know of that have broken that rule, one of which was Kentucky at Georgia Saturday night. So, yeah, I was freaking out. But here's the other thing. Remember the Isaac Humphrey stat I told you? We're now
scores a bucket. Is it still going?
Yes. We're 21-0 when Isaac Humphrey scores. So
you just got to get him a bucket early.
So the other night he scored, and I was like, oh, well, I can turn the TV off. But
it's like the old Bulls when Jordan was there. They always got Luke Longley a basket early. I never really quite understood that, but maybe that's the key for them.
We have a Twitter question, and listeners, you can call in at 812-426-7400 or tweet
at Red Blue Hoops.
Before we get to this question, because Chad's going to be long-winded on the answer.
Oh, boy.
It's going to fire you up. Let's go ahead and do our 30-year anniversary segment real quick. Again, we are celebrating this year the 1987 National Championship by Indiana. That's the last time they hung a banner 30 long years ago. So to put it in perspective, we look back at the movies and songs that were in the top 20 that year. Coming in at number 6 on the movie list is one of my all-time favorites, The Untouchables.
That's a pretty good one.
Starring Kevin Costner, Andy Garcia, Robert De Niro, Sean Connery. That's a freaking amazing
some heavy hitters
lineup right there.
It is.
The movie grossed $76.2 million. Coming in the 5 spot, we have Moonstruck. Anybody remember who starred in Moonstruck? Sam Berger?
Moonstruck? Was Tom Hanks in that?
Cher, Nicolas Cage, and Olympia Dukakis.
Wow.
How about that? Going to the movie list real quickly. Coming in at number 6 in 1987 was C'est La Vie by Robbie Neville.
I remember that song, yeah.
And this one, not a good song.
C'est La Vie was a good one?
Well, that's true. This is by the band Starship, formerly known as Jefferson Starship. The song is Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now. And the only thing I could say about that is I like the title based on maybe Kentucky going into March Madness.
That's true.
Or Indiana into the Big Ten tournament.
No, I'm thinking it's Indiana's boosters saying nothing's going to stop us now. We're going to deep pockets. Yeah.
Speaking of boosters,
okay.
Here we go. This is from our Twitter account being handled by Walker Beck tonight. President Fleck.
Oh, yeah, that's my nephew.
No kidding.
It is. Yeah, he's a president.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Media saying IU has too high of expectations. I'm ticked about it. That's all it says from President Fleck. This is right in your wheelhouse, Chad.
That actually was my tweet.
Oh.
And he retweeted that.
Okay.
So that's probably why you saw that on there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so a lot of the media are like, you IU fans are unrealistic, and I'm ticked about that. I disagree. And my basis on that is a lot of things, but I'll say 1, tradition. Number 2, the brand. The brand is there.
Yep.
The facilities are there, number 3. And the money's there. And Indiana, and you alluded to this, we'll maybe talk about this in a second, but when Bob Knight was there, Indiana was really good. Branch McCracken, they were really good. That's a long time ago, obviously.
Sure.
They went to Mike Davis, bad hire. Went to Kelvin Sampson. That could have been a decent – you never know. He's a decent coach, I guess.
Oh, he was a good coach.
Not sure how you can play that one, but we'll say that was a bad one. And Tom Crean is a guy that's going to bring you – maybe make you relevant again, but not take you to the next level. So you hire a guy like Billy Donovan, if that's out there, if he can get Indiana's relevant again for 20 years. Just like, can you explain the Kentucky scenario?
I tell you what, yeah, this actually hits a hot button with me dating back to when Tubby Smith was leaving Kentucky finally. Right. I'd been after him since 2002, so he finally departs in 08, 07, 08, yep. And I remember watching ESPN, they had the round robin of commentators, they had Hubert Davis, Vitale, and all the rest of those guys.
Yep.
And they were preaching to the UK fans, saying, UK fans are crazy. Their expectations are way too high. It's going to take you 10 years to rebuild your program. And I'm like, hold on now. No one tells me what expectations I should have about my basketball team.
Sure.
And sure enough, we made a bad hire that drove our program further down, but then we made the great hire that proves the program's bigger than the coach. And in Kentucky, Calipari rebounded our team in one season.
Mm-hmm.
You get the right coach, you get the right recruits, you rebuild your program from the ground up, surround yourself with a tremendous staff, a tremendous support system, you develop a culture.
Absolutely.
And guess what? You can have whatever expectations you want as a fan base.
Yeah.
If you settle for mediocrity, guess what? You're going to get that or less every time.
Yeah.
So, tell you what, Sam, let's go ahead and go to our final break for the night and get back for some more Red Blue Hoops on here. You're 88.3. Go Big Blue.
Go Hoosiers.
Support for Red Blue Hoops comes from Nicholson, McNamara, Smith & Associates, Merrill Lynch Wealth Advisors, dedicated to helping clients define financial goals and develop customized wealth management strategies. Information at 812-473-7336.
Folks, welcome back to Red Blue Hoops here on WNIN 88.3. Again, that is Chad and the Spring Cleaners playing the blues music during our breaks.
You're killing me.
We're going back to Twitter. Tom Slade, my infamous neighbor out there, his question is, or comment, I never blame officials for anything, but so much talk about poor officiating, bad or overworked on officials. We've touched on this a couple times during the season.
Yep. It's a great question.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
I follow Rex Chapman on Twitter, and he has been very outspoken about officiating in college basketball. In his opinion, there's only one that he considers good, not even great, just one good one. There's no question they are overworked. They officiate 5 to 6 games a week.
Mm-hmm.
So they're thinking about
traveling in and out of airports.
Think about just the logistical side of that. And then, they're not good. They're just point blank not doing a good job.
I actually think it's more that they're bad than it is overworked, because you think of some of the things that you see out there.
Absolutely.
Think of the guy took 4 steps and laid it in at the buzzer.
Yes.
I mean, that's traveling, they study that travel call. They know that.
Absolutely.
You mentioned Teddy Valentine actually on the baseline.
Yeah,
you want to explain
the other
that
night.
one?
Yeah, this is a prime example of how bad officiating has gotten. Kentucky at Missouri, it's second half. Derek Willis is a secondary defender. For those of you who know what that means, you're talking about the little arc inside the lane below the rim. Means as a secondary defender, you can't be on or inside that arc and draw a charge.
Right.
So Willis is in position, standing straight up, hands straight up, doesn't move. The Missouri player plows into him, knocks him over. Teddy Valentine being over-dramatic. TV Teddy being way over-dramatic, comes running across the baseline, comes running out and puts his finger on the arc line, saying that Willis was standing on it. Well, the replay shows Willis was a foot outside of that line. So as you said, he incriminated himself.
Yeah, not only is he bad,
he made the bad call.
Yeah.
And he goes and explains, he shows why he made the bad call. It's like a prime example. You use it as a video reference on training other officials. This is what not to do. You see it every game. Every game.
You do. How many double fouls have you seen this year?
Which is a complete belt. Mostly Indiana games.
That's where I was going
Kentucky's
with it.
had one double foul this year,
I've seen 2 with Indiana in the past 2 weeks.
It's just, that's a bailout.
Yeah, make a call.
We both made a bad call. Let's just bail them out with a double foul. But
Stupid.
No, Tom, thanks for your support of Red Blue Hoops and your tweet. And folks, you can call in. Phone lines are open at 812-426-7400 or tweet
at Red Blue Hoops.
We would love to hear from Indiana fans. Call in and give us your position on Tom Crean. Will he be here next year or not? I'm saying he's going to be here next year.
You're praying that he's going to be
I'm
there.
praying and saying.
Yeah.
I've been cheering for Indiana hard these last 3 games. I really have. The other night I was so frustrated. You guys had this big lead. I'm like, I predicted the win. You guys were in position to win, and you designed a way to lose that game.
We did.
I mean, just the guard play just blows my mind, or lack thereof.
It is. Well, you get for all the listeners that follow the coaches, that all these coaches are starting to protect Crean, and I know why that is. It's just like why Evan's trying to protect him. They know if he stays there, they're going to continue to beat Indiana, just like Evan thinks with being a Kentucky fan. So don't fall for that trap.
Same thing happened to us, folks, when Tubby was at UK and he decided to stop recruiting at an elite level. Man, our rival fan bases love Tubby at UK.
Absolutely.
Loved us.
10
not
lost a threat.
10 lost Tubby's not a threat. It's like Coach Cal said the other night. When he goes on the road as a coach at UK and people stop cussing and jeering him, he said, that's when I know it's time to retire because I'm not a threat.
That's a good point.
And that's excellent. What a great self-assessment and self-awareness.
That's a good point. Very true.
Let's go back to the hotlines, Chad. We have Gary on the Red Blue Hoops line. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in Indiana this year. At one time, they were 11-2. Now they're 15-13.
Yep.
I know they've had a lot of injuries. I understand that, but I do not think Tom Crean will be back for another season. Indiana's pretty tough on the coaches and what have you. I just don't think he'll be back another season. Too bad they can't get clone John Calipari and get a clone of him. That would make a good coach for Indiana, But
Coach Cal at Indiana, that would be interesting.
Yeah, just clone him and then make the two of them meet together Indiana against Kentucky,
That's right.
Calipari wins.
I agree with that. Indiana certainly needs somebody that can get up there and make things happen fast and stop with the double-digit losses and that kind of thing.
Hey, Gary, do you have a dog?
Got it.
Hey, Gary, can you hear me? Hello? Gary? Lost Gary.
His dog hung up.
Hey, that's the first dog panting we've ever had on Red Blue Hoops. You guys hear that back there in the studio? That was awesome.
That dog probably had a question.
That dog.
I would have liked to hear his
assessment. That dog's name's Tommy Crean or something like that. But
Jack Crean.
Wow, Jack Crean. That's awesome. Hey, again, phone lines are open, 812-426-7400 or tweet
at Red Blue Hoops.
Man, where were we? I've lost track of time. NBA.
Yes,
been a lot
All-Star weekend.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. This is the trade deadline week, which is full of activity. There were some massive trades, but before we get into the trades, the Hoosiers and the Wildcats were both represented at All-Star weekend at different levels. Touch on what Indiana achieved there.
There was a little dig there, wasn't
it? Maybe so a little bit.
Give me a break.
Maybe a little bit.
All right, so some of these were Indiana high school players, and some of these were Indiana University basketball players. Eric Gordon won the three-point shootout, so that's pretty cool.
That's Indiana's first one-and-done player.
That's exactly right.
And he played for – who did he play for?
Dockett?
Samson
Dockett. That was that year that went crazy. The NBA dunk champion was Glenn Robinson III. That's the big dog's son. He played high school ball at Lake Central in Indiana. Went to Michigan, though, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Gordon Hayward won the NBA NBA skills contest runner-up. He went to Butler and played high school ball at Brownsburg. The talent challenge was Victor Oladipo. He did go to IU. The D-League three-point shooter was Scott Wood. He went to Marion. I believe he played college basketball at North Carolina State. And then lastly, the D-League dunk champion was Troy Williams.
Williams.
Doesn't surprise me. Good Troy showed up at the dunk competition. So.
Well, that's awesome.
Kentucky had a few things, all right?
We had 8 people participating during the weekend between the All-Star game and the Futures game. That's an incredible number. Really cool thing. Kentucky Kentucky rented out a billboard in New Orleans and also I think in Lexington that showed all those 8 players. It was pretty cool.
Marketing.
Good. That's Calipari's marketing.
It is.
But kind of the cherry on top, Jamal Murray was the MVP of the Future Stars game. Anthony Davis with 52 points was the MVP of the All-Star game.
I don't think there was much defense played in that.
It was not,
but
it was a Kentucky infomercial all day. I mean, for people questioning how Cal gets recruits, that's a self-selling prophecy right there.
He does.
I mean,
he does that
folks.
well. No question.
We had our first in-studio question posed here by Berger a second ago. You know, Gary talked about cloning Coach Calipari and hiring that clone at IU. So Berger wants to know if that happened, who would win if they played each other?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
Well, they would play on the neutral side, I guess.
That's of course.
Yeah.
That's right. That's a fascinating question.
That is.
We're going to go back to the hotline here. We have, does this say KU Cat?
KU Cat.
KU
All right.
Cat, welcome. Go ahead.
No, Cajun Cat. You guys started talking about the NBA All-Star game. Got me fired up about getting Big Boogie down in the New Orleans area.
Oh, yeah.
With AD.
Yeah.
What did you say your name was again?
Cajun Cat.
Cajun Cat. Okay. Cajun Cat. I've got a suspicion of who this might be. Yeah, the Boogie trade to New Orleans Pelicans is huge. Teaming up with Anthony Davis.
Yeah, we're going to call it the Uniboogie. Unibrow.
That's right.
That's awesome. I haven't seen that before. Uniboogie.
That's pretty strong.
Hey, Cajun Cat, how are things down there in the Southland?
Just wish I had my Cats down here a little bit more. I tell you, given some rough time when they played down at Georgia, and I tell you that Mississippi state game. It's had some tough travels down here in the South, Florida. But looking forward to this weekend. I think this is a telltale game against the Gators up there.
That's right.
Well, while I have you on the phone and you mentioned the Gators game, there was some news broke this morning that I haven't had a chance to send out on our Cats Chat email chain. That there's some suspicion about De'Aaron Fox took a really nasty spill in the Missouri game. That those that saw it, I thought his season was over. But apparently the injury to his knee or knees is a little bit more substantial than originally thought, that he could be questionable for Saturday's game. So there's some breaking news here on Red Blue Hoops tonight.
Yeah, yep. That's a big factor. I think we can come out, though, and respond with our defense, start burning a little bit that pick and roll that you mentioned, Evan. We can get a couple of those things behind us there. I think we'll be set for a good run in March. So,
hey, I agree.
I just want to give a shout out to you guys. You guys have a great show. We're listening from online. Keep it up.
Hey, thank you so much, Cajun Cat. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's.
Is he calling in from
He's calling from New Orleans,
nice.
On the north side of Lake Pontchartrain.
That's awesome.
You remember that lake? That was the infamous lake that broke the levee in the hurricane.
That's right there next to the city.
But real quick, the other night, did Dockich call your game?
He did.
Okay. During commercials, we'd flip over so we could hear some audio, and he made a comment. Late in the second half, you guys were having an issue of getting the post-entry pass to Thomas Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
And then something happened. Dockich says, how did he say? He goes, I didn't get fired because I couldn't coach. I got fired because I had players out and they wouldn't listen to me. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear him say that, actually.
Yeah. A guy at work, one of your IU fellow fans, brought it up at work. But, yeah, it was interesting for him to say it like he was really proud of himself, saying, I didn't get fired because I couldn't coach. He was blaming his players.
He was.
So,
he attacked Blackman and Bryant a couple of times, basically referring to, those two say all the right things, but they don't act it out, which he's right. Wow. But I was surprised. He's always been on Blackman his whole career about defense and things. Dockich he can be kind of tough to listen to sometimes.
He can. I mean,
he knows the game.
He really is intelligent.
Yeah.
And there's times where he can be very enjoyable to listen to. Then all of a sudden he'll send out a tweet or something that's like dropping a bomb, and it makes you hate the guy.
He is.
But doing a little housework here real quick, we did not do the RBH index last week. Indiana has fallen to a ranking of 50.75. But, folks, for the listeners, check this out. You guys are still on the bubble of the tournament, and here's why. KenPom, Indiana, ranked 44th. BPI, Indiana, ranked 30th. Sagarin, Indiana, ranked 31st. And your strength of schedule is climbing to 48 now. So if you guys could figure out a way to win a few games, you'll get in the tournament, and Tom Crean comes back with a 7-year extension.
It's not happening. I'm not going to believe it.
Kentucky's RBH index is hovering right at 8.25, which is right where they should be. They're currently slated as a 3 seed in today's bracketology in the Midwest bracket, which would have Kentucky going to Indianapolis. So, Chad, if IU does not make the tournament, which you're predicting, you'll have all the time in the world. Would you go to Indy to watch Kentucky?
No, I'll be spring cleaning.
Oh, that's right.
Clean out my
spring
barn.
cleaners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Well, touch on quickly, we did a little bit earlier, but any other U of E comments for you tonight?
No, that was pretty cool of Marty. Hopefully their season has been up and down. I think at one point they won 7 in a row, and then they come back and lose 9 in a row. So that was pretty interesting. But he said it. I mean, it's just been a tough year. I think they're one player short, but hopefully they can beat Indiana State and then maybe win a game or two in Arch Madness and see what happens. So
fantastic. Real quick, the USI Screaming Eagles have climbed to a ranking of number 10 in the country. They end the regular season tonight, folks, on the road, 7 p.m. at Bellarmine. Bellarmine is ranked 4th in the nation.
It's a big game.
Whoever wins if USI wins, they'll get a guaranteed share of the East title in the GLVC East. And the tournament's here at the Ford Center.
Check that out.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So USI Screaming Eagles are still alive and well. Their record, I think they've only lost 2 games the entire season. So upcoming games, real quick.
That's right.
We touched on Kentucky host a huge game this Saturday. We're hosting Florida in Rupp Arena. We're going to try to avenge a massive loss we had down in Gainesville earlier this season. And then Tuesday night, we host the up-and-down Vanderbilt Commodores. How about the Hoosiers coming up?
Hoosiers play Northwestern on Saturday night. Big game. It's a big game for Northwestern. They're trying to get in the tournament. They need the win. So I just saw on Twitter that it is Colin Hartman's senior night, so his career is over at Indiana, and then it doesn't get any easier for IU at Purdue next week and at Ohio State. I will predict that, unfortunately, Indiana will not win another game in the regular season.
Wow. Heard it here first from Red Blue Hoops. Yeah. Chad is feeling
I hope I'm wrong.
But I'm cheering for the Hoosiers, folks. Bring on, hey, but don't forget, #keep Crean, #keep Crean. Folks, it's been a great show. Thank you for the callers. We had 7 calls, a lot of Twitter traffic. Thanks to Burger, Sam, and Walker. We're over and out. Go Big Blue.
Go Hoosiers.
Support for Red Blue Hoops comes from Nicholson, McNamara, Smith & Associates, Merrill Lynch Wealth Advisors, dedicated to helping clients define financial goals and develop customized wealth management strategies. Information at 812-473-7336. Red Blue Hoops is a production of WNIN Tri-State Public Media. The executive producer is Brad Kimmel. Steve Berger is the producer. The technical director is Samantha Horton. The opinions in this show do not necessarily reflect the views of WNIN staff or board of directors, or, for that matter, Purdue fans, Evansville fans, USI fans, Louisville fans, and certainly not Duke fans.